Hey everybody, Craig Egan here. We're on our way home from Montana. I just wanted to give some final thoughts to the first leg of the tour. We kept it very low key. We didn't harass anybody. We didn't get up anybody's face. We kept our distance. We talked to anybody who wanted to come talk to us, unless they were dicks. But for the most part, everybody was very nice. And I just wanted to give some final thoughts before we go home, regroup, and get ready for round two in Kansas, Missouri, Des Moines, and Minneapolis. We're going to be going through in August, and before then, we're going to do a bunch of content locally and around, talking to healthcare professionals, doctors, and just kind of try to keep this party going. So here's a couple of thoughts. First of all, I just wanted to say that the Vax team, for the most part, was very civil to us. They said that we were very civil to them. Sent us lunch one time. They brought us water. Everything was cool. I talked to some moms that were part of the meetings, just normal everyday moms who felt like vaccines had damaged their children. But while I believe that is in almost all cases incorrect, that they're attributing a cause that isn't the cause, and by falsely scaring people away from vaccines, they're endangering other children. For the most part, you have to understand that we all just want what's best for our kids. You can be wrong about it, but the people I talked to mostly really sincerely believed what they were saying, and really just were acting out of sincere concern for their children. And when you go on a tour like this and you meet these people and they're normal people, you start to have a little bit of feelings of humility, and a little it kind of humanizes the argument. Like I said before, at the end of the day, we all want what's best for our kids, and we all think that the other side either is misguided, or in some cases just greedy and taking money to endanger children. But so that makes a civil discussion hard. But they really went out of their way to be nice to me. I went out of my way to be nice to them. And then, of course, right on cue, anytime you start to have the smallest amount of sympathy for what these parents are going through, anti-vaxxers will say, "Hold my kombucha. I'm going to show you exactly how fucking evil we can be." And I've seen a lot of that online this week. And I'm not even just talking about my haters. My haters can hate on me. They're going to hate on me. That's what I signed up for. What I'm specifically talking about is a news story that was local to me. It was very tragic. And it was tragic on a couple of levels. What happened was a family had their infant child, put that child into a crib with a blanket, and woke up in the morning and found that their child had been suffocated or strangled in some way. Called paramedics. Paramedics could not do anything. And they lost their baby. And I can't imagine, as a parent, what that feels like. To go through that kind of guilt, that kind of pain, to think to yourself, oh, if I just done something differently, if I hadn't put that blanket in the crib. You can't go back, and you just kind of have to accept it. But they bravely put out their story into the world and was like, don't let this happen to you. This is a mistake we made. This is the price we paid. Don't let this happen to you. And sure enough, they had to put out another statement shortly after, asking anti-vaxxers to stop harassing and attacking them and claiming that their child was killed from a vaccine injury. And this is something that you see all the time, and it makes me fucking livid. There's a certain segment of anti-vaxxers that are vultures, that are fucking ghouls, and they will jump on any time a child is injured, anytime a child dies, anytime a child has any sort of condition. I see it in mommy groups, I see it in parent groups, I see it all the time. You see it in news articles, in the comment sections. A child will die, and the parent doesn't believe that their child was vaccine injured. And this is what pisses me off. Those people at the Vaxxed bus They get so offended when you ask them, and I've asked them over and over and over again. Has there ever been a vaccine injury story that a parent has come up with that you doubted? Has there ever been one where somebody said, oh, my kid got a vaccine, and then when they were 15, they got cancer, and I'm pretty sure it was related, and you're like, nah, that's probably not. No, of course not. Every single vaccine injury story that they claim, without fail, they believe. And they'll put the name on the bus, they'll put the story on the internet. Even if the doctors disagree, even if all the medical literature in the world disagrees that that's even remotely possibly related, the vax people don't care. They'll put that on the bus. But the minute somebody actually has a tragedy and their child dies of a completely different reason, and the anti-vax nuts come out, oh, nobody believes that parent anymore. That parent, oh, they must be wrong. They're in denial. Really, it's the vaccine that killed that child. And it's absolutely fucking disgusting. You see it in groups where somebody says, oh, my kid's got autism. Oh, really? Were they vaccinated recently? There's more parents out there in the world that have autistic children or children with any sort of condition who know and believe the scientific literature that those aren't related. But the anti-vaxxers don't want to take those parents' word for it. All of a sudden, the word of the parent doesn't mean anything anymore when it's not a vaccine injury story. And it gets really downright sick. These parents are grieving. They're going through the worst time of their life, and these vultures are attacking them. And you can see how this plays out. These parents are smart. These parents aren't falling for it. But could you imagine being in that situation where you put your child to bed and you woke up and your child had died, and you know what happened? You know they got strangled by the blanket, and it was an absolutely horrible case. And then some anti-vaxxers come along and say, you know what? Let me tell you what. It's not your fault. It was Big Pharma. They're the ones who poisoned your kid. Can you see how that would be tempting to fall into that trap? To accept that answer as a way to comfort yourself, as a way to shift the blame, as a way to point the finger somewhere else? And of course, these parents know better. But if they didn't, if they fell for it, if they went, oh, you know what, maybe that's right, all of a sudden, that parent, oh, look at another brave parent coming onto the bus and signing their name and putting their name on the side of this fucking $50,000 RV. Look how brave they are, because we convinced them that their kid died from a vaccine injury, and now they're just one of these parents that you're doubting, and I'm the asshole for doubting their story, that they were convinced by vultures who seized the moment to try to attack and ride on somebody else's tragedy. And it's absolutely disgusting. And it gets worse. You see these anti-vax nuts, they'll find some news story of literally a baby who died of shaken baby syndrome, a situation where a parent actually murdered their baby and are in jail for it. And that parent never even used as a defense, oh, vaccine injury. But the anti-vaxxers jump on it. Oh, you know what? I'll bet you that parent's innocent. I'll bet you that was a vaccine injury. Literally a crushed skull. Look it up. Look it up on these fucking nutty vax sites. They'll show, oh, this parent's in jail wrongly for murdering their child. It's really a vaccine injury. It's like everything is fucking bizarro world for them. It's absolutely gross. And I don't wish harm on anybody, but I'll wish harm on those assholes. If you are defending a baby murderer and trying to use that to push your agenda that it was really a vaccine injury, I hope you die and burn in hell. Fuck you. Anyway, sorry, got a little emotional. This is what's going on in the news right now. These grieving parents are pleading for anti-vaxxers to stop their ghoulish behavior and to leave them alone and stop insisting that their tragedy is somehow vaccine related when it's not. And I see this every day, all day long. And that's why those names on that fucking bus don't mean anything to me. Because I see how those names get there. I see people who've got a child with autism or a child with leukemia or a child with some sort of illness. And years later, somebody convinced them, oh, didn't that happen right around the time of their vaccines? And they think back 15 years and go, well, I think everything happened around the time of a vaccine when you're a baby, right? But it's easy to make that connection in your head. And so they feed those seeds and they feed that bullshit into these parents. And it takes hold, and all of a sudden that parent's now anti-vax and claiming vaccines injured my child or my 3 children or my 6 children or me. Oh, I'm vaccine injured and so are my kids. Everything in the world all of a sudden is a vaccine injury, and it's gross, it's disgusting, and it's why I'm out here fighting. So I'm on my way home. We're going to regroup. We're going to go back out on the road, and we're going to try to take these assholes to task. Thank you for supporting us. Thanks for the hater comments, even though you suck. And please, leave grieving parents alone. Don't push your bullshit on them. It's cruel. It's disgusting. There's no place in a civilized society. Anyway, namaste. Heading back to Tacoma. Gonna take a long nap. Try to get some work in. And then I'll try to get online and type up some thoughts on the journey. But thanks for staying with me.